Nothing like a little flute music to come in. Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. Thank you very much for being here. I missed y'all. Glad to have you back. And part 3 of the information extravaganza. Tomorrow night, we're going to have an alien extravaganza. Tomorrow night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. That'd be 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and 5 Pacific. An alien extravaganza, an episode where we're going to be talking about aliens. Now, what does that mean? As far as aliens go, you can go back to a TV show called My Favorite Martian, TV show called Lost in Space, a TV show called Star Trek, before movies called Star Trek, and movies called Star Wars, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and so many. But we're also going to, it's not going to be like a retrospective part of it is going to be a retrospective what we've deemed aliens to be in the past, as I kind of feel like maybe we're on the precipice of finding out what exactly aliens are, the intention, etc. Maybe not, but I kind of feel that way. And also, we did a little bit of the cut we're going to feature tomorrow night, which is the whistleblower, one of the whistleblowers, one that has come out and made himself public. So we're going to go through that tomorrow night as well, and I think we might have some guests. Not sure yet. Hasn't been 100% nailed down, but we might. Okay, so that's what's coming tomorrow night. Friday night, I'm going to do the music thing again. I haven't been monetizing the streams. I knew I was going to get hit with a copyright strike, or thought I probably would, from showing the music. I got hit with several, not trying to take the channel down, just making sure it wasn't monetized. I knew that going in. So, and I'm trying to, the purpose of that stream is to have something non-political, just enjoyable for both me and hopefully you as well. So I'll be doing that Friday night. How long? I don't know. It depends. I was really into the band that was up there last Saturday night, the Wombly's Rock Orchestra. And so how long I'm up there, that will depend on how good the bands are. I didn't get up there for the warm-up band last time. I was told they were pretty decent. So I'm gonna talk to the organizer of the whole thing either tomorrow or Friday, and have a better idea of what bands are coming. And so if you like music, if you like a Friday or Saturday alternative to what you normally see, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. Please hit the like. It really does make a difference if you do like what you see, and I hope you do. And so with all that being said, let's go ahead and get this thing started. And here we go. Hello to Jim Nalgren. Hello to Breeway. Thank you guys for hopping into the chat early, and thank you all for clicking on early. A lot of different things to talk about, and I'm just going to get started. I'll be back over in the chat in just a couple of moments. But before we begin with our news, I want to touch on a story that chances are 99% of you are not aware of. there is a conference that's being held in Houston. It gets underway in 8 hours, 23 minutes. It's the NARSOL, NARSOL, the NARSOL convention. And basically, it is a convention that for fair treatment for sex offenders, basically, is the easiest way for me to phrase it. And I bring this up to make you aware this conference is going on, and also to let you know that I've been informed that there will be protesters at this event. This was their website. Just scrolling through their website. There's their schedule. It is the National Association for Rational Sexual Offense Laws. So I think they're proposing doing away with registry lists, things like that. And there will be protesters there. There has been a national call out to the Proud Boys on a national level, any and all that are able to come and protest, to do so for Saturday, the 24th. Is that right? Let's see, Wednesday 21st. Happy summer solstice, by the way. 22nd would be Thursday. 23rd would be Friday. 23rd would be Friday. Hold on a second. Let me get this notification up real quick. It is Saturday, June 24th. Join Proud Boys from around the country to help keep your neighborhood safe. Bring nationwide attention to their stated goals of ending sexual offender registries. Now, this is one of those situations where me personally, I am not in favor of ending sexual predator or sexual offender registrations. That's just my personal opinion. My personal opinion is also, I don't know if the Proud Boys are the right organization to be expressing that sentiment. Okay? But from the way it sounds, now, how many show up? All of that, that's, this isn't a call out to the Proud Boys. This is letting you all, my listeners, this smart 10 or 15% of the other percentages of the other percentages of the other percentages that understand this is knowledge we're sharing. And so that is going to happen on Saturday in Texas. And I will be monitoring that, and if it looks like it's going to turn into something unfortunately unpleasant, I'll probably hop on and live stream it, so that because that's what we do. We document things. We make you aware of things that you're not going to see on mainstream media, and the best way to do that is live streaming when we can, restreaming live streamers that are on the ground, so you get the absolute closest to the truth that you can decide for yourself with your own eyes. We've been doing that in tense situations since pre-George Floyd, but and especially post-George Floyd. Fortunately, we haven't had a lot of those lately, unless I'd really like to see us keep it that way. With that being said, here are, I got to show them to you, don't I? Here are our top stories, breaking news from the mainstream media. headlines, and then I'm going to hop over into the chat and say hey to everybody for a couple of minutes before we get into the bookmarks, because I got a bunch of bookmarks on the Twitter feed. Headline from CNN: Live updates: the missing Titanic sub search continues as banging sounds are heard. We're going to talk more about that. Politico's headline is: the House GOP votes to censure Schiff over role in Trump investigations. Got some more on that as well. AP News: this is Associated Press, not Anarchy Princess. Pride and pain for Biden as his son Hunter reaches a plea deal. Politico also has the headline of Democrats and Republicans clash over Durham testimony on the FBI probe. We have more than that coming up as well. Sad news out of the BBC. There was an explosion in Paris today. The American University, more than 30 injured after the blast. It was a preliminary report from 6 hours ago. And we come back to the Associated Press with plant-based courses of mullet and stuffed mushrooms on the White House menu. So the White House is serving plant-based courses of mullet. I'm assuming that means almost mullet, mulletish, mullet-like, mullet, the vegetarian version of mullet. Anyway, that's the AP headlines, and click on this and hop back over to the chat for a couple of moments here and say hello to Tommy Temper, peace, love, sunshine. Black Eyed Peas, what are they protesting? I'm assuming you mean the Proud Boys. They're calling for a protest of an organization that's having their annual convention in Houston, Texas this Saturday. Everyone who's been found guilty should be on the list and kept public. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. Why would the Proud Boys be protesting this when half of them are on the list? Ooh, yee. Hold on a second. Somebody's got a question about what's the TNT. Mike and Jesse stated they talked to GMJ. My question is why they didn't record it. I listened to your message from GMJ and believe it's 100% real. I believe it's 100% real to Temptation Avenue, and the group that Jay started. I've done some. You can check my channel page, and I've got some videos up there. What they're doing now and what they're trying to do, and they're trying to start a community, and communities generally start organic. They grow up around geographic locations mainly. It used to be rivers, and now it's highway crossings. It used to be trains, and now it's around stadiums. So communities formed organically. They're trying to form a purpose-based community. Now there's a white Christian separatist group that is trying to do the same thing in Tennessee. Both have the right to do it, in my opinion, and it's up to the locals. But anyway, that's and if I hear any more from Grandmaster Jay, I will make sure and get it out. And I'm just going to leave it at that on that for now. Yeah, they came after me, and it's okay. All you got to do is use a little bit of common sense. Number one, why would I do something that I had absolutely nothing to gain from? I don't have anything at all to gain by sharing a message from Grandmaster Jay. Take it from there. Anyway, I don't want to get caught up on all that because I got a bunch of other stuff. Moms for Freedom and how they're funded by the Moonies. I did see that report. I don't have it in the rack for tonight, but Moms for Freedom. Moms for Freedom. I'm going to talk about. Might even have to do a whole episode on because they've just been added to the Southern Poverty Law Center's list as a domestic terrorist organization, and they were the ones that provided a lot of the funding and cover, if you will, for the events surrounding the 6th of January 2021. So, with that being said, Cunning Stunt, hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you in the chat. And hold on a second. Let me see if I can do something here. Let me try something. See if this will work. Nope, it won't work. Okay. All right, that just cuts me off. Let me go back to the other camera. Oh, there we go. All right. All right. Just Joan. Not looking good for the occupants of the Titanic exploration thermos. It does kind of have a thermos-like. No, it's not. It's not Just Joan. Thank you for being here, by the way. And I'm going to be talking about that coming up. Matter of fact, let's just. Would you rather? I've got a cut from Trey Crowder, and let's see. Would it work better before the bookmarks, or after the bookmarks? Thank you, KU. Appreciate that. Let's just go ahead and get started with the bookmarks, because no, let's not. Let's have a laugh first. Now, those that do not know, this is Trey Crowder. He's also known as the liberal redneck, and this is from. Oh gosh, probably almost 4 years ago now. This is one of the first things I played, and I was getting bombarded with things from people in rural areas. I ran for Congress in this area, and a lot of the area is relatively rural, 19 counties, and the biggest one is the biggest city in the county, or in the district, is where Ball State University is. Anyway, so a lot of people know me from this area, and I got a lot. Antifa's coming. We are going to rally in Winchester, Indiana. It was one of the main places. Antifa's coming to Winchester, Indiana. And I'm telling them, no, Antifa is not coming to Winchester, Indiana. And then shortly after, it might even been that same day, shortly after posting to a lot of people that know this is, it's not going to happen. There's no use you all gathering in Winchester and stressing the Winchester police out. And shortly after that, Trey put this out. Again, this is like 3 or 4 years old. but let's see how it stands the test of time.
Hey y'all, I just wanted to comment on a rumor that's spreading like wildfire across small town America right now, and that's that Antifa is deploying busloads of liberal provocateurs from all the big cities on the coast to infiltrate rural America and wreak havoc. And I just felt as somebody who's kind of done the exact opposite of that, I was in a position to comment on it. First of all, rural America, Antifa's not real, not really. It's just the latest in the long line of fictional boogeyman Yuns create whole cloth out of thin air to help yourselves maintain the vital balance of fear and anger upon which you thrive. They're just like the transgender toilet monsters or the big government rifle snatchers of years past. They're not really a thing. But let's just say that when you say Antifa, you mean like big city, coastal liberals. They're coming to your town to fuck with y'all. Let me tell you something, rural America. Coastal liberals wouldn't come to where you live if the ghost of Karl Marx offered to pay them in aborted fetuses, okay? They're not coming there for nothing, ever, ever. What are they going to do there? What, they coming there to loot? What are they going to loot? The co-op? The Blizzard machine at the Dairy Queen? Those aren't vegan friendly. What would they want with them? They're going to riot? How are they going to maintain the strength to riot when they all survive off of wheatgrass and pretension? Huh? They coming to spread their message to y'all? They don't know how to talk to y'all. Why do you think I have a career? It ain't the jokes. And how are they going to get there? Buses, right? Big fleet of liberal buses. How do you think they've got the time and resources to find that many fully electric buses and paint them rainbow color? Nothing about it makes any fucking sense at all. Here's my point. You cannot keep talking out of both sides of your mouth where coastal liberals are concerned. You cannot, on the one hand, act like we are all a bunch of spineless, ineffectual, overly sensitive soy boys, and at the same time, we are somehow a cabal of special forces shadow queers. It don't make any sense, to say nothing of how it makes y'all look when you buy into bullshit like this. Don't you know what it makes you look like when you share these rumors around? It makes it look like you're scared, like you're afraid of coastal liberals coming to your town. And I know that can't be it, right? You would never admit that you're afraid of liberals. Imagine your papa shaking his head at you in disappointment from the bowels of hell. No, that can't be it, because you ain't worried about it, right? If they do show up, you'll take care of it, right? You whoop everybody's ass, shoot everybody's dog. You big, tough, and dumb, you got guns, let the liberals show up, see what happens, right? You'll take care of it, nothing to worry about, right? Okay, then shut the fuck up about it. Jesus.
Unseen threats.
All right, there we go. Chat, what do you think? Does it stand the test of time? Again, that's Trey Crowder. In case you've never heard of him. Yeah. Jim's putting some facts in there about what's going on with the sub. That's Trey Crowder, the liberal redneck. And again, that was 3 or 4 years ago, and it's to me it holds up, stands the test of time. All right. Before we get to, I want to do one story here real quick, just in case you live in Florida. I want to make sure you're aware of this, because I got family in Florida. I got friends in Florida. I got acquaintances. I've got a bunch of people in Florida. This is not an uncommon scene on the times well, it is. It went black. That means it's probably okay. There we go. This is not an uncommon scene in the many times I've been to Florida. Seaweed washing up on the white beaches of the Atlantic coast of Florida. That happens. The difference is this time the seaweed blob is carrying flesh-eating bacteria onto the beaches. So I'm not going to go into the whole article here, but hello, if you're in Florida, this particular shot is from Key West, Florida on April 30th, but the blobs of seaweed keep washing up, as they will, as seaweed does. But flesh-eating bacteria, Just the name is enough for me to think, okay, we need to take this thing seriously. If I were in Florida, I would want to know about it. So just, if you're down there, if you're heading down there, something to think about. And finally, with that being said, here we go. I was adding to this like 10 minutes before coming on. The Twitter bookmark scroll for the longest day of the year, the 21st day of June. Donald Trump. Now, we remember how he as president handled the pandemic. He wouldn't wear a mask himself. He felt it made him look weak. Therefore, none of his people wanted to wear a mask, because if he didn't have to, why did they have to? And all of a sudden, not my body, my choice was co-opted to a potential health issue of a totally different sort. Now, here's what he says about Ron DeSantis and Ron DeSantis' handling of the pandemic, which wasn't good. But my point is, does the ex-president really have a lot of room to talk?
Florida was the third worst state in deaths by COVID. That's your scorecard. It's a sad scorecard. So why do they keep saying that the sanctimonious did a good job?
Wait a minute. What's your scorecard? You don't want us thinking about that, but unfortunately, we do.
New York had fewer deaths. And again,
who was running New York?
that's the way you have to, I guess, evaluate a job.
Okay, there we go. That's the way you have to evaluate a job. You recommended people put fluorescent light bulbs up their butt and inject their arms with Lysol. So and eat aquarium filters, and horse pills, I believe, was one of the things. So anyway, just saying, just giving you something to think about. New York, the NBC News has confirmed out of New York that the probe into the infamous deleted Secret Service text messaging scandal has officially become a criminal investigation. So another criminal investigation has been spawned, this time from the insurrection investigation. And so now we're looking at deleted Secret Service text messages. I wonder if the Secret Service text messages that had to do with getting Mike Pence to get into then President Trump's Secret Service car, which was a turning point of January 6th. Trump wanted Pence in Trump's Secret Service car and taken to an undisclosed location. Pence refused to get in the car, and instead Pence stayed and ratified the election, as he was constitutionally bound to do. I wonder if any of those text messages are in that. For those who say it's wrong to charge the former president of the United States under the Espionage Act, I give you the case of former FBI analyst Kendra Kingsbury. She was just sentenced to 3 years, 10 months in prison, former FBI analyst Kendra Kingsbury, because she illegally retained documents related to national defense at her residence. Okay? For those of you that lean to the right, and you think President Trump's being abused. The former president, as Trey Crowder said in one of his things last night, anybody else is off to a black site, waterboarded and locked up. He's teeing off on the 18th green, or on the 18th tee. Just something to think about. GOP censors shift. Representative Adam Schiff was censored today, actually not that long ago, by the Republican members of Congress. What should have been a win still manages to make McCarthy look more weak and ineffective. This is a staffer's quote. John Burroughs posted the original tweet. Holy cow, Kevin McCarthy has completely lost control of the House floor after the Schiff censure vote. I had to say that a few times in warm-ups. This is proof positive that he never had control in the first place. Okay, so we are going to take a look at this. Let me pull this out so that it doesn't stop on me midstream here. Don't like when that happens. All right, here we go.
Vote, the yeas are 213 and the nays are 209. With 6 answering present, the resolution adopted. Without objection, the motion to consider is laid on the table. House will be in order. I'll wait.
Okay, they're not yelling shame and disgrace. They're not yelling that at Adam Schiff. They're yelling at Adam Schiff. They're yelling it at the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. The vote was dead on party lines. Every single Republican voted to censure. Every single Democrat voted that the guy was doing his job as a congressperson. It's just it's a formal disapproval. It's like I don't know, letter to your mom when you're in school. Note to your mom, hey, we didn't like something little Adam did. But it goes on.
The House.
By the way, for those that are wondering, this is political dissent. Okay, this is how democracy. This is what democracy looks like in the House chambers.
The House will be in order. Shh. The House will be in order.
So they were continuing to yell shame there. And that's basically what it was. It was political theater. He has been censured, which means, little to nothing. He's not going to lose any positions on committees or anything like that. All right. This is one of those things that, let me pause it. Oh, wait. Get rid of this. All right. I want you to try to count how many people get out of this car. All right. This is one of our little breaks of the evening that is not like WTF is going on here. It is kind of, because but it's not. This isn't life impacting to us potentially, but try to count the number of people that get out of this car. Okay, there's getting out of the back. Somehow there's 9. You really can't see how they're put in there. There's 10. But when they open the trunk, there's 11 right there. When they open the trunk, there's another... I did not pull that out. Here we go. Just instead of watching the whole thing again, run it back just to where we opened the trunk. Maybe a little before. Come on now. Let's go right here. If it will. I do not know what country this is in, if that's being asked in the chat. I'm not sure why this isn't playing. Anyway, 6 more people got out of the back of the vehicle. One of those amazing things. This is another amazing thing, and a reminder that we got really funky weather going on, crazy stuff going on weather-wise, and there's a massive heat dome down over Texas and Louisiana, and just gradually building, and Texas is going to have some trouble with keeping cool the longer this goes, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. Tornadoes going on in areas that normally aren't overly tornadic, especially in like Wyoming and California, or Wyoming and Colorado. And earlier this evening, this was taken. This is from Tony Laybach, and this is obviously, we've got an actual tornado on the ground, a touchdown, not just a funnel, but an actual tornado. When it's rotating in the sky, it's just considered a funnel until it actually touches down. It's just, and once it actually makes contact with the ground, then it becomes a incredibly destructive beast. Now this one is going to generate another tornado, a second tornado. As you can see, possibly coming down, if you can see it coming down back here. Right in here, right here. Get my thing out of the way. You see it starts generating. So it gives you an idea of the rotation of how big this storm is and powerful it is. The rotation the storm itself has, you can see in the clouds here as well. To get it turning in both directions in such an intense manner that it actually funnels all the way down to the ground. It's really rare, but it's becoming a lot more common. And the climate is changing. We can argue about whether man impacts it with gas, or whether dairy cows are the primary reason, or if it's the weakening magnetic sphere heating things up and pushing the jet streams in funky positions, which is what I personally think it is. It's changing. Okay, the submarine. I've got a piece coming up on it, about a 5-minute piece, I think. Josh Gates. I don't know if you know who Josh Gates is. I've been a viewer of Josh Gates for a number of years, and currently he has a show called Expedition Unknown. Josh went on a test dive of the very craft that is currently lost, the Ocean Gate, the Titan. And here's what he had to say in a tweet. To those asking, Titan did not perform well on my dive. Ultimately, I walked away from a huge opportunity to film Titanic due to my safety concerns with the Ocean Gate platform. There's more to the history and design of Titan that has not been made public, and much of it is concerning. And that's from Josh Gates. That's from somebody that's actually been down in the thing and could have made a pocket full of money with footage for his show from the ocean floor, from the side of the Titanic, and walked away from it. So that says, that says a lot there. The window, the observation window, I've been told was not approved to go down that far, and had survived it on numerous occasions. If it's not approved for that pressure, say an orca does ram it. People are joking about it, but if it hits that glass observation window, and it is not certified at depth, the thing cracks, water pours in, it's over, the thing implodes. And I sure hope that's not what happened. But it's just one of many things that could have happened. And we're going to get to some more of those things coming up here, so stick around. And then finally at the end here, we're not close to the end. But when we get to the end, the last thing I've got is something I wanted to play Monday night. I accidentally erased it from the lineup with another video that I had wanted to play. I thought I had pulled it back up last night, and I got to the end and was going to play it, and I found out I'd pulled up 2 videos that I'd already played. So, okay, sorry about that. That was a notification. So, I do have the video I wanted to play tonight, and it's stick around because it's something that I think everybody will want to be aware that's out there. This comes from Ron Filipkowski. This is Republican Kennedy, and I'm not going to play the thing, but Kennedy was asked if the Hunter Biden plea deal was fair. Crap. Oh, thank you. He says, I don't know the facts. I just know DOJ gave him a good deal, and he sucked it up like a Hoover Deluxe. I can't blame him. That's probably as honest an answer as you're going to get from a politician, because it's Hunter Biden's not going to get treated the same as you or I. That's just not the way it works. The former president is not going to get treated the same way as an FBI agent caught with much less. It's just not the way it works. We live in a world of this is how it is instead of the world of this is how it should be. And a lot of us are striving for the this is how it should be world. We aren't there. We're at the this is how it is world. Trump had issued, and I get some stuff about talking about, hey, be careful, in the day that he is indicted, when it does happen. I've heard all these rumblings, blah, blah, blah. Trump had issued a back channel threat to the Department of Justice via his lawyers, implying nationwide unrest and violence if he were to be indicted. He got indicted. Thankfully, it didn't happen. And I don't think it'll happen the next time he gets indicted. If he goes to court and he's found guilty, it might. But by then, I think enough will have, kind of stepped back and thought about it all, maybe. And again, maybe I'm optimistic, but that's my hope, is that the more that comes down upon the former president, the more people have to acknowledge. Okay, this is another little thing from supposedly it's from the ocean, but they're saying this is one of the sounds they think might be interpreted as coming from the submarine. I don't think it ought to be called a submarine myself, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Here's the, let me make sure we got it up. Here's the sounds. Okay, those are the sounds. Now, are they the sounds of, are those sounds, any of those sounds coming from that particular craft? There's no way of knowing. A lot of stuff in the ocean, a lot of stuff, and animals in the ocean make noises, believe it or not. There's noise from currents, but those, we'll play it one more time. There is towards the middle, there is a, sounds like a knock, knock, knock. So, hang on a second. Let's run it one more time. Now is that it? Is that it? Is that faint tapping it? What's the noise in there? Anyway, and you can find that. Let me make sure and credit where that comes from. Isabella Maria de Lucia. So, okay. This is what he tweeted 8 hours ago. I surround myself only with the best and most serious people, except for uncourageous Mike Pence, Elaine Coco Chow, and dumb as a rock Rex Tillerson, disaster John Bolton, weird Mick Mulvaney, sloppy Steve Bannon. Wait a minute. I didn't know he and Bannon were on the outside. I thought Bannon was one of his supporters. Hold on. Okay. Weak and ineffective Mark Esper and Gordon, unreliable Sondland, and not as good as Hitler's general. Dude. I don't know what percentage of the country refers to your movement or a fraction or a percentage of the supporters in your movement as either Nazi or neo-Nazi, but you yourself saying someone's not as good as Hitler's generals is not helping your cause. Maybe it is. Slippery James Comey and overrated Mad Dog General Mattis. Overrated Mad Dog General Mattis. And very weak Mr. Magoo, Jeff Sessions. Sucker Rudy Giuliani. Wait a minute. Okay, so now Trump has turned on Bannon and Giuliani, and weak and pathetic Bill Barr and lying rat Michael Cohen. Okay, Giuliani and Bannon. Trump must have been informed that Giuliani and Bannon are testifying against him in one of these upcoming cases. Dun, dun, dun. We will keep an eye on that, of course. This is Adam Schiff. This is the guy that has been censured and for doing his job, which was investigating the ties between the president then, Trump, and the Russian government. And one of the things Schiff's asked is, the son of a presidential candidate gets calls all the time from a foreign government offering dirt on their opponent. Is that what you were saying? Question mark. Basically, the investigation found out that Don Jr. was in contact with Russian operatives, and the Russian operatives had information on Hillary Clinton that they gained through hacking our internet. Okay, here we go. Let me just play a little bit of this. Just for those, when somebody says, well, what about the Durham report? What about the Durham report? I'm going to show you a few clips that define the Durham report.
Russia and its government support of Mr. Trump? You aware of that?
Sure, people get phone calls all the time from individuals who claim to have information like that.
Really, the son of a presidential candidate gets calls all the time from a foreign government offering dirt on their opponent? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think this is unique in your experience.
So you have other instances of the Russian government offering dirt on a presidential candidate to the presidential candidate's son. Is that what you're saying?
Would you repeat the question?
You said that it's not uncommon to get offers of help from a hostile foreign government in a presidential campaign directed at the president's son. You really stand by that, Mr. Durham?
I'm saying that people can make phone calls making claims all the time that you may have experienced.
Are you really trying to diminish the significance of what happened here and the secret meeting that the president's son set up in Trump Tower to receive that incriminating information, trying to diminish the significance of that, Mr. Durham?
I'm not trying to diminish it at all, but I think...
We'll get a little bit more of this coming up, but gives you a gist of how this hearing went. And this comes from Fox News, by the way. This is one of those... I don't know. The family has encased their deceased grandmother in resin and used her as a coffee table. I don't know, maybe that's what she wanted, but I don't know. And a reminder that a former FBI analyst was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison today for keeping classified documents at her home. Might just want to keep that in the old memory bank. This is another one of those, what are we doing here? You know, yes, this is real. Yes, this is a dude holding on to the back of a tanker truck going down a highway. Oh yeah, and he's in a shopping cart. I don't know. Okay, cultivated meat. This came in 5 hours ago. Cultivated meat, also known as lab-grown meat, has been cleared for sale in the United States. How do you feel about that? Cultivated meat, also known as lab-grown meat, has been cleared for sale in the United States. How long until we've got lab-grown meat in the quarter pounders or the what's Burger King's? I forget. Whopper. Anyway, or is the, you know, I'm sorry, I've got an automatic aversion to this, and it's not a get off my porch kind of thing. Maybe it is, I don't know. But the idea of meat that isn't, you know, actual meat, I understand people not wanting to eat meat. I get that, I really do. I don't eat an overabundance, but I'm not a vegetarian or anything like that. But lab grown, it takes me back to Soylent Green. I know that's a long time ago, and many of you probably have no clue what I'm talking about. It was a Charlton Heston movie where at the end he finds out that the main and the most desired food of the people is actually made from people. So the lab generated meat, I don't know about that. Okay, I said that, you know, I got a couple of clips from what happened with the Durham report, and Matt Gaetz, who is under investigation for sex trafficking a 17-year-old, paying with campaign funds too, by the way. Gaetz says you tried 2 cases and lost both of them. Have you ever heard of the Washington Generals? They're the team that basically gets paid to show up and lose, right? I think you let the country down. Gaetz is disappointed because there was no indictment of Joe Biden. There was no indictment of Hillary Clinton, which is, you know, the witch hunt he was sent on. And remember, propaganda, accuse the other side of that which you are doing. So where's the witch hunt actually going on? It's still being wrapped up with an investigation of the Durham report and why he didn't do his job. Fox News says about it, Turley is mystified by Jim Jordan's Durham clown show today. Durham looked about as comfortable as a Benedictine monk in a strip club. He had this look of disbelief on his face. He said, "Look, I reported the facts. You can reach your own conclusions." And also Daniel DJ Rodriguez, the Trump supporter who drove a stun gun into the neck of Officer Michael Fanone during the January 6th attack. He has been sentenced to 12 and a half years in prison. That came just about 10 hours ago. Gaetz wasn't done with Durham. If you weren't going to do what Mr. Jordan said you were going to do and give us the basis for all of this, what's this all been about? It's all been about spending $6 million investigating things never happened, but accidentally overturning things incriminating Hillary or Joe Biden further incriminated Trump. That's what it became all about. A little bit of science here. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Three things anybody that are into music, the more you play, the more you hear, the more you listen, the more you experience, the more you understand the importance of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, what we're going to see here, this guy's going to rub this table. He's currently sprinkling dust all over the table. He's going to rub the table with different instruments, not musical instruments, but just different things to create different frequencies throughout the wood. Now watch what the dust particles do as he scrapes. A little bit of science here. It's not going to hurt you. Trust me. Okay, that's what the dust does with one instrument. A different tool which creates a different frequency onto the table, and you see the energy that is caused and the image that's formed. One more time. And this is the transference of the energy. Maybe there's more to science, maybe there's more to our universe, maybe there's more for us to understand and learn. Something to think about. Shift again. This time in testimony, he finds out that not only did John Durham not read the Mueller report, which all this was based upon, neither did Jim Jordan, and neither have almost all Republicans or their voters. So he found out during the testimony that not only are they don't even know for sure what they're angry about. And if you're in that camp, that ought to be a wake-up call. Something to think about. This is something to think about too. Next time somebody says, well, what about Hunter Biden? Liam Neeson found this. And let's say, what about Donald Trump Jr.? Now, back in the day, I think I had a couple of these nights. You know, where I think I might recognize that look in the mirror from back in the day. Not the son of a former president or the the face of a company, but hey, do with it what you want. I hope it doesn't sear into your mind. One more thing. We started with Trump attacking our Twitter scroll with Trump attacking DeSantis over DeSantis's handling of the pandemic in his state of Florida. Now, hang on, let me pause him again. This is another clip from Brett Baer, his interview with Trump from the other night.
Vaccine work.
It's such an interesting question, because not only that, I also did the Regenerons of the world, we did a tremendous job on that. But we had a wet vaccine. Now you have different COVIDs. You had COVID-19, and then you have different COVIDs. But we had original was COVID-19, which was the roughest one. So I have a Democrat friend who's very smart.
He has a Democrat friend who's very smart. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., if you can't connect the dots.
Hopefully he votes for me, but he's very smart. He said, I don't understand one thing about you. I watch your rallies, they're incredible. You talk about beating ISIS, you talk about taxes, you talk about regulation, you talk about everything. But you never...
No, he doesn't. He doesn't talk about all those things. He talks about the people... Well, anyway.
So I said that I've never heard you talk about how the incredible job you did with the vaccines, because as you know, I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years. I broke their ass, okay? And you know who doesn't like me too much? The FDA, because they were very bureaucratic, and I got it done. And he said, you may have saved in the world, throughout the world, 100 million people, and you never talk about it. I said, I really don't want to...
He's modest. He doesn't like to brag. Sarcasm.
Talk about it, because as a Republican, it's not a great thing to talk about, because for some reason, it's just not.
I don't talk about it as a Republican because for some reason as a Republican it's not a great thing to talk about. It's just not, because you made it not a great thing to talk about. Because when you were first informed about COVID-19, you said, 10, 20 days, this thing will be all over. Yeah. We don't forget. If you're a beginner when it comes to live streaming, or one of the key factors that you must always remember is make sure your tripod is firmly planted on all 3 of the legs, and don't leave one hanging over the edge, or you might not get that fabulous TikTok shot that you were hoping for. Okay, living his best life at a Vanilla Ice concert. And Teenage Ninja Turtle decides he's going to crowd surf, and the crowd says, nah, not gonna happen. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. And bang. Don't be a doofus, Don't be a doofus. If you want to wear a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costume, that's cool. Do your thing. You want to dance, all right, but don't anticipate people catching you and jumping onto a cement floor and busting your face and hurting yourself. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay. This is the one that I want to play. Let me pull this out. Again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for hanging out. A lot of stuff to think about. It is an information extravaganza, part 3. Tomorrow night, an alien extravaganza. And again, we might have guests. I haven't got it confirmed yet. I hope we do. And if you have an opinion, either you think that no such thing as aliens, or you think they've been here a long time, whatever you may think, if you'd like to voice your opinion, hit me up in an email, americandufus@gmail.com. I promise I'll look at the emails tomorrow, and we might have you on. You never know. With that being said, this is the clip I wanted to play all the way through. Oh, come on now. Don't do this to me. What did you hear me say that this is the clip I wanted to play all the way through? Tell you what, I'll come back to you. I will, because I want... basically, this is... If I don't come back to this, if I get... Oh, here we go.
Report as to what the diplomats reported was there was a suggestion of a suggestion that the Russians could help at damaging information as to Mrs. Clinton. And
By releasing it
was
anonymously,
released.
right? And that's exactly what happened, isn't it?
I don't.
You really don't know?
I'm not sure exactly. When you say exactly what happened,
Well, the
there was
Russians
information-
released stolen emails through cutouts, did they not?
There were emails.
It's
that
a very
were
simple
released
question. Did
by
they release
WikiLeaks.
information, stolen information through cutouts, yes or no?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You really don't know the answer to that? The answer is yes, they did. Through DC leagues.
Well, in your mind, it's yes.
Well, Mueller's answer was yes. More important than mine, Mueller's answer was yes. Now, that information, of course, was helpful to the Trump campaign, wasn't it?
I don't think there's any question, but that the Russians intruded into,
Well, I just want to
hacked
get...
into the systems. They released information.
And that was helpful to the Trump campaign, right?
And the conclusion in the ICA and in the Mueller investigation was that the Russians intended to
Can
assist.
you answer my question, Mr. Durham? That was helpful to the Trump campaign, right?
That's
And Trump made use of that, as I said, didn't he, by touting those stolen documents on the campaign trail over 100 times?
like I said, I don't really read the newspapers or listen to the news. I don't
Really,
find all that reliable, so I don't know that.
Mr. Durham, you're totally oblivious to Donald Trump's use of the stolen emails on the campaign trail more than 100 times? Did
I'm
that
not aware of
escape
that.
your attention?
I am not aware of that.
Are you...
All right.
Yeah.
He's not aware. Again, these coming from the Durham report. Okay, Ron Filipkowski again. This time he saw this one coming. He says it's been building for a long, long time. He says this movement will tear itself apart because they are all narcissistic, attention-starved, serial grifting psychos. That's his words. Now, what's he talking about? I've got a clip of it coming up. Marjorie Taylor Greene called Lorraine Boebert a little bitch. She did. Everybody heard her, and the speaker had to bang the gavel and said, "Take your conversation off of the floor." Why is MTG so mad at Lorraine? Well, Lorena, she went up to the House chambers today and she said, "I want to put forth a motion to impeach Joe Biden for high crimes and misdemeanors." And Marjorie Taylor Greene got mad because Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to present that. And Lorena Boebert took her, this is Marge's words, Lorena Boebert took her proposal and made it her own. She stole it and presented it before Marge could. And 2 people voted in favor of Lorraine Boebert. You really can't make this stuff up. Now this is more serious. This came in on the 20th. It came in yesterday. Protesters physically fighting outside the Glendale School Board meeting in Los Angeles. This is indeed the 3rd week in a row that we've reported on this. 3rd time violence has broken out in recent weeks at anti-LGBTQ protests outside schools in Los Angeles. And just a warning, this does get a little bit vicious.
Get back!
Again, this is outside the Glendale School Board meeting, and the third time violence broken out over anti-LGBTQ protests. Okay. Republicans be saying Hunter Biden lied on a firearms background check application. Lock him up for life. Republicans also say firearm background checks are unconstitutional. It's an infringement on your constitutional rights. It's outrageous, egregious, and preposterous. So which is it? Should he be locked up for life, or are background checks unconstitutional? In Virginia, grand old party, GOP Republican State Senator Amanda Chase, who called herself, quote, Trump in heels, end quote, loses her seat in a primary vote to a more sensible Republican from Virginia. Or perhaps a more wacky Republican. But she lost her seat regardless, and that doesn't bode well for those that are associated with the MAGA. It might have been great a year and a half ago for you to tie yourself to the Trump train, but that train is going to derail one way or the other, and if you're still on it, you're going to derail too. This is kind of this is disgusting, but it's also very telling. Here we go.
What do you think about woke culture? It's what everyone's talking about.
I think it's a bunch of crap. They're trying to change what our children think in the schools.
What would you like to see happen?
I'd like to get back like it was in the 60s.
Before all the civil rights stuff?
Before all the civil rights stuff.
So you would like to see things go back to before the civil rights movement?
Oh yes. You know, where people have their freedom in this country.
Well, certain groups didn't have as much at the time, right?
Right. They didn't have as much at the time. But we still got to get back where this country stands up for this country.
What do you think?
Okay. Interpret that as you will. This comes from the Gardener, who says they're not a cult. And Devin Duke, he's referring to Devin Duke's retweet, where he says that's definitely not what he looked like during the Brett Baer interview. Here's what Bridget Gabriel has tweeted. And this is why the Gardener is sarcastically saying, no, they're not a cult. President Trump is the righteous warrior for freedom America needs. There you go. That's not delusional. That's not delusional. That's not delusional at all. That's exactly what he looked like in the Brett Baer interview. All right, another one from the Tennessee Holler. Trump's campaign chief, Paul Manafort, was secretly meeting with a Russian agent and giving him internal polling data, correct? And again, this comes from Schiff, calmly dog-walking Durham down Russiagate memory lane. Reminds us Russia did help Trump win, while his felon campaign chief, Manafort, shared data with a Russian spy. I don't know. I said we had video. Here it is. We also have audio too, by the way. Now I don't have audio. I don't have audio of what she said. However, multiple sources have reported, when asked if Marjorie Taylor Greene did call her a little bitch, she says, yeah, very much so. That's not a direct quote. It was, yeah, I royally did it. Yes, I own it. And here's how it sounded on the floor microphones.
Take your conversations to the back, off the floor. For what purpose does the gentlewoman... Order, please. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida, Mrs. Luna, seek recognition?
Mr.
Okay, Marge ain't happy. Bobo stole her thunder on the Biden impeachment. You stole my fundraising grift. And we've covered some fundraising grifts on here. This comes from America 2.0 Media. This is a report on what's going on in East Palestine, Ohio. For those that watch the show, you know that my buddy Mel and I, we did an episode where we talked about the Dunreath accident, where there was a train wreck. I think it was, what was it called? Train wrecks, tornadoes, and something else. I think Lori was on with us too. Lori Arnold. We talked about the lingering effects, how, you know, he moved there 15 years after it happened, and the chemicals in the ground killed his dogs. This is from a professor at Purdue University, senators and congressmen representing Ohio. I'm a professor at Purdue University evaluating health risks of conditions that impact people and businesses in and around East Palestine, Ohio. I want to share important findings with you. After my June 10 to 12 investigation in East Palestine, I have serious concerns for the safety of children, adults, and businesses. Businesses part might get their attention. During this, my 6th field investigation, I discovered again that acute chemicals exposures are occurring inside some residential and commercial buildings. Inside the buildings. Near the derailment site and along the contaminated sulfur run. I provide 4 recommendations below. Again, check out America 2.0 Media, and you can find that whole thing, and plus some other great coverage on what's going on in East Palestine. And that does it. That concludes our bookmarks for the night. Let me hop back over here to chat real quick before I do the little submarine special thing. Again, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to... Chat seems to be running, and every time I do something and try to get down to the bottom of chat, let me try it. See if I can do it without screwing the whole thing up. 9 times out of 10, I end up clicking on something and it disrupts the whole thing and it disappears on my end. Hi, hello Nancy. Hello Max Flower. I see you two down here at the bottom of the chat scroll. Guy Bassett. Hello to everybody out there watching. Greatly appreciated. And this is a little something that comes from the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is a British media organization, and this is 5 things that may have gone wrong, and I think each and every one of them is very plausible.
The deep. As hopes fade for the 5 wealthy Titanic tourists who vanished while exploring the wreck aboard a mini submarine, keeps arising. What happened? It is possible that no one will ever know after the sub, called Titan, suddenly went silent hundreds of miles off the coast of Canada and around 13,000 feet underwater.
And nothing was reported wrong for several hours. So while there's a limited oxygen supply, they cut into that oxygen supply hoping that nothing was wrong, just a minor little glitch in a system run by PlayStation gaming controllers. Anyway.
Beside the Titanic. On board was a British billionaire, one of Pakistan's richest men, and his son, a famed French explorer, and the CEO of the company running the dive. They began their voyage early Sunday with 96 hours of oxygen inside the sub, have not been heard from since. Submarine experts agree that 5 possible accidents are the most likely cause. Perhaps the most obvious explanation is that the submersible became tangled in the wreckage of the Titanic itself.
Now, as little commentary on this, that may sound a little crazy to you right off the bat. Like, how in the world could that happen? If there was a loss of power, let's say, and a loss of navigation, and currents took it into the wreckage, that has happened in the past. A real strong current forced a submersible into the Titanic wreckage, got it stuck momentarily. So that's not all out of the, it's not out of the realm of possibilities, especially since that's where this thing was heading.
The ship split into 2 pieces as it sank back in 1912, and those sections now lie amidst a huge debris field on the seabed. Navigating the wreck is extremely dangerous, according to those who have dived it. It is possible that the sub's pilot got disoriented, perhaps after communications were interrupted, causing the craft to get snagged. Another explorer has described how a sudden undersea current swept his submarine into the wreck, getting it temporarily stuck. Titan is equipped with drop weights, which can be thrown overboard to give it extra buoyancy, potentially freeing it and helping it float to the surface. But if it is stuck, for example, inside the Titanic, there could be little the crew would be able to do except wait for help. A banging noise picked up on sonar could be the trapped crew knocking on the hull of the sub to attract attention, but rescuers have still been unable to find the craft.
Could be a numerous piece of junk too, that a lot of junk in the ocean. Hopefully it would be a banging from the ship, but
power outage or equipment failure. The sub relies on batteries to power the communications, and a failure could explain why it lost contact with the surface. But they also power the engines, the lights, and the heating. A catastrophic failure would have left the sub dead in the water, in complete darkness, and in freezing temperatures. If that is the case, experts say the cold could kill quicker than the lack of oxygen. Questions have been raised over the quality of the sub after one passenger pulled out over fears the company building it were cutting corners. He discovered that scaffolding poles were being used as ballast, and a video game controller was being used for steering. After that, he demanded his money back. Also previously quit over safety concerns about the structural integrity of the sub, and an industry body wrote a letter in 2018 criticising the company's experimental approach. Losing power would make the sub harder to find, and there will still be the matter of getting it back to the surface when its engines aren't working. They may still be able to surface, but there is no sign of the vessel yet. Alistair Grieg, a professor of marine engineering at the University College London, said rescue options will be extremely limited if the sub is without power. Another possibility is that the sub has become tangled on a piece of debris like a fishing net. Thousands of so-called ghost...
Once again, there is so much trash in our oceans, and fishing line, lots and lots of fishing lines, lots of hooks, and lots of drop nets that have ripped or just been lost.
nets are swept around the deep ocean after being lost by trawlermen. Back in 2005, a Russian submersible called AS-28 became tangled on just such a net while it was underwater off the Kamchatka Peninsula in far eastern Siberia. The net got caught in its propellers and caused it to sink to the seabed, with a British underwater drone brought in to cut the netting and free it. All 7 crew members made it safely to the surface 2 days later. But they were stuck under just a few hundred feet of water, compared to the Titan's 13,000. To cut the craft free, rescuers will first have to find it, and sonar is not good at distinguishing the sub from the wreckage of the Titanic scattered around it.
And in case you were wondering, 13,000 feet, how deep is that? If you've ever been to the Grand Canyon, the Grand Canyon is about 6,000 feet deep. So you look down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, it's twice that deep and then some. I've seen, in monitoring this stuff today, I've seen some absolutely incredibly dumb statements from people. No, anyway. I forget what I was going to say. Let's get back to it.
And even if it can be cut free, the Titan will still have to make it back to the surface.
Yes, that's what I was just getting ready to say. The other thing to remember is how far down that is, how long it will take just to get from that deep back to the surface.
It's on its own, because transferring the crew to another vessel at that depth is impossible.
Protecting nature.
Hang on. Got a commercial. Let's get through this real quick here. And we are back.
After the submersible suddenly stopped communicating with no explanation.
This is what I think might have happened. The implosion theory. That either the window gave way, the body itself, because every time you go down, there's fatigue. I think something catastrophic happened to it. I don't know why. That's just the vibes that I get. That's just what I'm drawn to. That something happened. That it ended as quickly as it possibly could and as humanely as it possibly could. I hope I'm wrong.
A catastrophic implosion of the vessel has become a leading theory. G. Michael Harris, an experienced Titanic explorer, fears that is exactly what happened, 10,000 feet down, where the pressure is 350 times greater than at the surface. When a submarine...
350 times greater, okay? Imagine that. Imagine putting a 1 pound weight on your head. Imagine putting a 350 pound weight on your head. That's just science.
Hull fails at depth, the pressure of the ocean will almost instantly crush it and anyone inside. Even a small fault in the carbon fibre and titanium hull could have caused the accident, and Titan's 3 previous voyages were cancelled over fears of structural fatigue. Owners OceanGate said the vessel, which features many homemade components such as hardware store washers, had been repaired since and was equipped with a sophisticated system to monitor for any problems in the hull. But if an issue had suddenly occurred deep underwater, it is doubtful the crew could have done anything in time to save themselves. Just such an incident occurred in 2017 when the Argentinian Navy submarine ARA San Juan went missing in the San Jorge Gulf. The wreck was only located a year later, scattered deep down on the seabed. It is not known exactly what caused the accident, but it is thought an electrical failure caused it to dive beyond its crush depth, causing an implosion, killing all 44 people on board. If that is what happened to the Titan, then the crew would have been killed instantly. Another possibility is a fire on board, perhaps caused by water getting into the electrics. In 2019, a blaze broke out inside the battery compartment of the Russian submarine Losharik while it was 1,000 feet underwater. Fighting the fire in corridors as narrow as a few feet, the crew managed to get Losharik back to its parent submarine, which hauled it to the surface. 14 submariners, some of the most experienced and highly decorated in the whole of the Russian Navy, were killed. If a similar blaze were to break out on board the Titan, then the results could easily be fatal. Even if the crew somehow got the flames under control, the fire could knock out the electronics and eat up the oxygen inside the tiny 21-foot craft.
21 foot.
There is still a lot we don't know about the Titan's fate, or the fates of the men on board. If the craft can somehow get itself to the surface, then there is hope that they can be saved. But if it is really stuck at the bottom of the ocean, then the chances of finding them alive are slim, fading far.
Yeah, we're nearing the time where they're just going to be out of oxygen. I mean, it's just they only had so much oxygen with them. They only had so much, they each took one bottle of water, each took one sandwich. There's a Ziploc bag that they all share as a restroom. So even if, the conditions in there would have been horrific. Okay. Our finale, if you will, our final little segment here. We've been talking about a lot of different things over this past week, including, the idea of being woke, the idea of the possibility and the lunacy of the idea of civil war and aliens. And we're going to continue the alien thing tomorrow night again, 8 p.m. Eastern. 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, and we're gonna have an alien extravaganza after tonight's information extravaganza. Most people think that if there were to be a civil war, it would be started by the far right, and I myself have said that if there were to be a trigger, it would. I agree with the theory that as soon as Trump loses, he's going to call for violence. And I think he might have called for violence from what we reported earlier, but maybe the call wasn't received just because it was an indictment. If he had been taken in, if he'd been imprisoned, would there have been a different response? Don't know. I hope not. Again, my hope is that the longer this goes, the more removed the possibility of any kind of violence, citizen upon citizen, based upon supporting Donald Trump, the host of a game show, a rigged game show called The Apprentice. It wasn't a reality show. It was a entertainment game show that made celebrities, put celebrities through their paces. Okay. Most people think that he would be the trigger to this, and a lot of scenarios, even ones we did a couple of years ago, where we had Mike Selinker on, the game designer, the guy that designed all the games, that did all the computer simulations about probabilities of civil war and how it would happen and all of that. Most was because of Trump. What I'm going to show you is, oh, wait a minute. What I'm going to show you, hit the wrong button, sorry, is a different perspective. And I'm not saying it's one I agree will happen, but it is something that I wanted to make sure you knew was out there. This comes from the world of Walbeck, and he got a lot of videos out. This one is how the next civil war might start. And again, this is told from a right-leaning perspective, we'll just put it that way.
This is a camera lucida. For the whole of the 19th century...
Of course, I played through the commercials before, but that's all right. Here we go.
And I played around with the idea and wrote this little story, fictional story, about what it might take for the Second Civil War to actually begin. Are you willing to kill Americans? That's what the President of the United States asked General Ezra Price at 3 in the morning. What had happened was that President Newsom issued an executive order.
Okay, keep in mind that in this scenario, Biden and Trump aren't involved. Newsom, the governor of California, has been elected governor. Newsom, by the way, is trying to organize a constitutional amendment. We'll talk more about that because that's not necessarily always a good idea. Because once you open up the constitutional once you open it up to amending, once you have a constitutional convention, a lot of things can get thrown around. Just saying. Anyway, the premise this is going off of is that Gavin Newsom has been elected president, not Joe Biden.
Reversing all bans on abortion. He wasn't playing politics anymore. Of course, many states didn't comply. And he
the
knew
trigger is reversing the ban on abortions.
That they wouldn't. He would need to make a powerful example, showing that democracy would hold strong, and that any opposition to it would be met with force. So, he would go after the largest opponent of his order, the state of Texas. So, on March 14th, 2025, the U.S. Army arrived in Shreveport, Louisiana, a 1-hour drive from Longview.
Again, this is all, he says 2025, so this is just down the road after the 2024 election. And Gavin Newsom is the president. Something else I was going to say, and it's
Texas. Governor Abbott of Texas organized the largest body of National Guardsmen in the history of the United States, with many soldiers flooding in from other states to help out. General Price had no expectations of a peaceful resolution. He knew that thousands of Americans were about to die, so he didn't hesitate in taking the first shots. The Texans didn't hesitate in firing back. Blood had been...
Now remember, in propaganda, one of the things you want to do is accuse the other side of that which you are doing. We haven't seen many, if any, indications of Democrats doing anything like this, at least not here in our country. I'm not saying we haven't, through the CIA, screwed around in other countries. I'm not saying that at all. But as far as here, the only insurrection thus far has come from the far right. Keep that in mind as a point of perspective as you watch the rest of this.
Spilled, but this was only the beginning. The Battle of Longview, Texas was bloody and lasted far longer than anyone had expected. The Texans held their ground. They had seized weapons from Fort Hood, and the 69th Defense Artillery Brigade had defected and joined the Texas National Guard. It was on the 8th day of battle that dissension began to spread through the U.S. Army. The president and the general had assured the world there would be no conflict, that this was merely a show of force. Of course, they had lied, and doubts began to spread, and many soldiers refused to fight. General Price, seeing the lack of morale among his men, called for a ceasefire. He then had a meeting with Governor Abbott and told him that if Texas didn't surrender, that the military would be forced to drop a MOAB on the city, the deadliest non-nuclear weapon the military had at its disposal.
MOAB, Moab, mother of all bombs. That's what Moab means.
Abbott refused, and later that night, he sent 3 former Navy SEALs into the U.S. Army encampment and had General Price assassinated. But unfortunately, the next morning, the bomb still dropped. Over 4,000 Texas National Guardsmen lost their lives in that explosion. It was a victory for President Newsom and the U.S. Army.
No mention of air power or non-nuclear ballistic missiles. Again, we're commenting and critiquing this. This is just something that he wrote and is just playing out, but it's just want to point out that it's not all that realistic in certain areas. Let's watch the rest of it.
But Texas wasn't out of the fight, and many other states would soon join them against this rising imperialist threat. The country was outraged, but they were also confused, and nobody could have known then that this would...
Okay, the United States suddenly becomes a rising imperial threat to citizens of the United States.
Was the beginning of the end.
For the patient that it's been determined they're going to get the up...
Hang on a second. Let's get rid of our commercial here. And we're back.
The day the U.S. Army fired upon Texas was the day that Louisiana and Tennessee joined the fight. General Price had utilized Shreveport...
Wait a minute. He said it was a long and bloody fight when he first talked about it. And then he says Louisiana joins the day it starts, and the fight is being waged from Louisiana? Okay.
Louisiana as the Army's forward operating base. But within an hour of shots fired in Texas, the Louisiana National Guard launched an assault on the remaining Army forces. They seized 14 Abrams tanks, 20 howitzers, and 12 Apache attack choppers. Governor Sharon Hewitt of Louisiana considered the Army's march into their city as unconstitutional, and she said they would give back the assets to the Army once they had removed all troops from Louisiana and from Texas. After the general dropped a MOAB on Texas, the Louisiana state legislature voted to declare war against the United...
Okay, again, he says the general dropped the MOAB on Texas, but he also said that the general had been assassinated, and then it didn't matter because the president dropped the MOAB. Just pointing some inaccuracies out, inconsistencies.
States Army, citing Article 1 and Section 10 of the Constitution. They boldly declared that a splinter group had seized control of the Army and that they were no longer affiliated with the United States. Seeing President Newsom and the U.S. Army breaking their constitutional oaths, Tennessee and Mississippi both joined Louisiana in their declaration of war against the Army. Tennessee sent over 4,000 troops to help Mississippi seize control of Camp Shelby Army Base, as well as multiple Army munitions factories. Seeing the rapid dismantling of the U.S. Army, President Newsom pushed the democratically led Congress to declare Texas, Louisiana, and Tennessee as in a state of... Congressional representatives from those states were arrested and barred from voting.
That's exactly what Republicans have been threatening to do, arrest all the Democrats. So again, in propaganda, you accuse the other side of that, which you're doing.
That was the day the United Republic was formed, starting with Texas, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana. It was a temporary coalition designed to remove President Newsom from office and to restore full rights to the states. But we would all soon learn that there was nothing temporary about it, and other states would soon join the coalition. While Longview, Texas was engulfed in flames, riots broke out in every major city. A majority of Americans just wanted to be left alone and have peace. But now the United States was killing its own people? Martial law was declared in Los Angeles, San Diego, New York City, Detroit.
Now this is a key point that will happen no matter what. If anything escalates, martial law will be declared no matter who's in who's in the White House, who's in charge of the federal law enforcement. It will be declared, and it will not go quickly into the good night. Once it is declared, once that control is levied, removing it, just another reason it is so asinine that so many people are talking about this possibility.
Detroit, Chicago, and 20 other cities. But military support was at an all-time low, and emergency powers could hardly be enforced. But President Newsom and his corroborators knew this day would come. They had been planning something for years. When the president was elected, he replaced the Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force with a man named Charles Dobson, a PhD from Princeton who had a background in military history. Together, Dobson and Newsom would create the largest army of drones the world had ever seen. The Air Force then enlisted thousands of people sympathetic
Chinese
to the
probably
cause.
already
40,000 combat drones were deployed to Los Angeles. The governor of the state gave the rioters 24 hours to go to their homes. Of course, no one did. And that's when the drones opened fire, killing over 3,000 people within minutes. Seeing the success of these modern marvels,
what are these drones firing, by the way? They don't carry machine guns or lasers generally. What are they firing? Just curious.
the drones were deployed to every major democratic city in the USA to keep the peace. But not satisfied with simply quelling the riots,
the drones were dispersed to the democratic cities to keep the peace, but not Republican cities.
The president ordered the arrest of anyone who had participated in open rebellion against the USA, or anyone who had posted.
Now that I can really see this part happening. One side, if it gets to the point of conflict, the side in power is going to try to arrest anybody and everybody that's ever said anything remotely against whoever's in power.
Online supporting the United Republic. Each drone was equipped with cameras and facial recognition, and that information mixed with data provided by Facebook, they were able to quickly locate anyone who had participated in these riots and arrest them from their homes. Newsom promised the world that after the rebellion was over, the drone program would be retired. Of course, that never happened, and Dobson's drones would rain terror on millions of Americans. More states joined the United Republic as drones infiltrated every major city. Alabama, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Ohio all declared their allegiance to freedom. At that same time, President Newsom announced that Congress had passed the Universal Healthcare Law.
They pledged their allegiance to freedom. That's key word being used there, as if everybody else is not pledged to freedom. Where have we heard that? Healthcare is a human right.
That all citizens of the United States would receive free and unlimited health care forever. Millions of people celebrated as Newsom proudly declared that all businesses would now receive a 70% tax and executive salaries would be cut substantially.
Yeah, this is just an absurdity. Nonetheless, this is out there and getting views.
Each business and ensure that that the law was obeyed. Businesses and entrepreneurs were out and thousands of companies relocated to the United Republic. After that, there wasn't enough money to fund the healthcare services, and over 45,000 doctors and healthcare professionals also left the United States. Seeing this mass exodus, the president issued a new executive order, which people called the anti-escape order. Any people who were caught planning to leave to the United Republic would be arrested, and those who had already left would never be allowed entrance into the USA again.
Keep that in mind if the Orange one ever gets back in power. Is the idea of building giant fences to actually keep other people out, or is the main reason they do it in case they have to keep us in?
Disgusted with this new order, police forces in Washington, California, and New York turned in their badges and followed the doctors and businesses to the UR. Without enough officers to enforce the law, the White House announced the creation of a new federal police force called the UDS, or United Democratic Servants. But finding combat-ready patriots to fulfill the needed units was near impossible. So the UDS would then become the highest...
This dude, the lingo is so ingrained in this guy that even in trying to do something that he wants to have come off as from the middle, all the little key buzzwords are in there, except Trump.
Paid law enforcement in the history of the country. They were vicious and cruel, and people soon learned to keep their mouths shut and heads down low. Fear began to spread even among the most progressive supporters of President Newsom, and people watched in terror as this new police force rose to power. While thousands of people fled the USA, the United Republic debated on what to do next. They would build their forces and strengthen their borders, but wouldn't commit to any large-scale assault. There was no one to attack. They believed that Newsom had put the right people in positions of power, so it wasn't really the USA that was the threat, but those who had usurped authority over the country. They decided the only way to bring the states back together was to remove those people from power through covert ops and insurgent tactics. And after some careful planning, the first attack would be in California. When the White House declared that no commerce could be made with the rebelling states, it caused severe damage to the agricultural industry. Thousands of farmers in the San Joaquin Valley of California refused to obey the anti-commerce order.
Why would they do that? Just because people in Texas and Alabama aren't eating, the rest of the country and the rest of the world are. Why would they care where the food's going as long as they're selling it? They don't. But carry on.
So, UDS forces stormed their farms and seized their trucks.
Okay. They couldn't sell their goods in California to Texas. So the Democratic stormtroopers are going to come into California and burn their crops. You see, if you actually do break these things down and do a little analysis, it's not hard to poke holes in a lot of things.
And what was worse, if they stopped providing food to California, they would be arrested. That's when a group of former Army Rangers out of Tennessee snuck across the California border and provided explosives and firearms to these farmers.
Is there a whole bunch of Tennessee Rangers we don't know about?
Armed over 100 landowners and made a plan to get back at the president by striking at his very own hometown, the city of San Francisco. The farmers destroyed the San Joaquin pipeline, completely severing the city's water supply.
Yeah, that's it. Let's just punish everybody.
At the same time, those Tennessee Rangers detonated explosives on the city's 8 bridges.
There are Tennessee Rangers, evidently.
No one would enter or leave the city of San Francisco. For 10 days, no food or water was delivered to the city. The farmer rebels blockaded any help that might come to the people, and they said they would leave.
The farmer rebels.
once their lands were restored to them, but all they got in response was 1,000 drones that rained hell on them from above.
Looks like all the drones just have cameras, or maybe it's just me, but, you know.
So the first insurgency against California and the USA had ended in defeat. But this wouldn't be the last battle. In fact, this was the beginning of the end. As more bloodshed spread across the nation, each state had to pick a side, but there never was a full-scale war. No North versus South or West versus East. This wasn't a second civil war. What we got instead was an endless wave of insurgencies. People assassinating government leaders, armed men and women destroying supply lines and holding state buildings hostage. Eventually, the United States just fell to pieces. California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado.
Pausing this here to give us a look at where our own individual states might fall. Here's the what's known as the United Republic in red. Blue is the Social Democratic Union, Washington, D.C., State of New York, the State of Illinois, the State of Wisconsin, Colorado, Arizona, California, Oregon, and Washington. And then the states independent: Michigan, Indiana, South North Carolina, the West Virginia and Virginia, Pennsylvania, little Delaware, Maryland. So everything around D.C. stays independent. I can tell you that the states would not break up in this manner. The majority of Illinois is not social democratic. It's the population up around Chicago. So I don't know if the whole state would necessarily go one way, all right? Anyway.
Colorado and New York all formed a new government, the SDUA, or Social Democratic Union of America. The other states joined the United Republic, though new alliance.
Now see, he just told a falsehood right there. He said all the other states, and his map didn't show all the other states joining Texas, but anyway, is this actually their game plan? Are they telling us what they're planning to do and pointing it at those pesky darn Democrats? Or is Gavin Newsom the Antichrist, and that's why he does all of this stuff? Something to think about.
Alliances have been made. The country is in chaos and confusion, and almost everyone
that would be true regardless.
Things could go back to the way that they were.
That would be true too. So don't screw around. No, they won't. No, if either side does something anywhere close to this, it'll never go back to the way it was. I just said it a few minutes ago. Once they establish martial law, getting rid of it, keep in mind what I said earlier about the fence. How good of a fence do you really want to build? If it might be to keep you in. Anyway, yeah, most Americans wouldn't want any part of this. None. Yeah, and hopefully that number that don't want any part of this keeps growing. From us talking about this kind of stuff, so that those that do want it and want it right now have some things to think about. The unintended consequences of you just being angry and wanting to lash out are the same as it was when you were a kid and were angry and wanted to lash out. Let's not let that happen if at all possible. Okay? Just something to think about. Thank you so much for being here. Run over 2 hours. Greatly appreciate you watching, and if you watched through the whole thing, thank you so very much. No matter if you just clicked on for a few minutes or whatever it is, I greatly appreciate you checking us out. Consider hitting that like button and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Again, we're coming on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. with an alien extravaganza. And that puts to end part 3 of our information extravaganza of the week. So, again, I thank you for clicking on. You can email me, americandufus@gmail.com. If you'd like to help support the show, you can Cashapp me, $americandufus, all one word, AMERICANDUFUS. And we will be back 8 p.m. tomorrow night with an alien extravaganza. Until then, hey, it's a dark world. We just did a little episode ending thing here showing how much darker it could actually be. Again, let's not go there. All right, as a society, let's just not go there. All right, it's a dark world. Try to be a light. I love y'all very much. Peace. Live long and prosper. Positive vibrations to one and all. Much love. Blessings from the Most High. If you are of the Christian faith. Namaste. Shalom. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Again, namaste. Blessings be upon each and every one of you that want them. And I love y'all. Thank you so very much for hanging out. We'll see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m.